What's up, guys? Mike Lewis here, and welcome to the Mike Lewis podcast. If you guys want to keep up with me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lewis Official, and you can follow me on Twitter at MikeLew52. It's where most of my updates come. If you're enjoying my content, give me a like and a subscribe. And without further ado, let's just dive right into this episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're recapping episode 3 of the Challenge All-Stars, and please help me welcome my guest, none other than Miss Ayanna. How are we doing? Welcome back.
Oh, wow. Thank you for having me, Mike Lewis. It's a beautiful day, nice windy day in Washington, D.C. Time is precious, so let's get to it.
No doubt. I mean, you've definitely had quite the past couple of weeks. I mean, for those that don't know, it was actually your birthday the other day, so I have to wish you a happy birthday first off.
Yeah, man. I've now approached the big 4-3, so I'm proud of it. Glad to be here with it. I spent my birthday, very much so reflective on the last year and very thankful. If you go to my Instagram, Ayanna Superhero, you're going to see a picture, an intimate picture with me with my daddy's coat. I wanted to surround myself with love, protection, and, his memory on that day. I also recently lost someone very close to me, my uncle. He's like the reason why my name is even Ayanna Superhero. He's the person that I talked to and who convinced me to go ahead and get out on skinny branches and come back to the challenge. And he unfortunately transitioned 2 days after our premiere and did not get a chance to see that show. So, his birthday is actually today, the day that we're taping this podcast. So rest in peace, Uncle Greg. And thank you for the birthday wish. And let's get to it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I mean, it's definitely a special occasion to be talking about some events, of course, like this in this light. I want to ask you first off, how are you feeling with, obviously, the past 2 episodes have been like night and day, you know what I mean? Episode 2 sees you in like such a light where you said the word superhero, we see you in like the light as kind of like a superhero. And then, this latest episode leaves some people maybe questionable, about like, because the disparity in which you were portrayed in both episodes is obviously very steep. How are you feeling right now, just on a whole basis, with how everything's gone down, maybe with how people have reacted to the episode, maybe your reaction to the episode? Like, how are you just feeling as a whole right now?
Well, I'll tell you, without going too far down the rabbit hole just yet, because we do need to recap this episode. So I want to be fair to that task first. I'm not afraid of the elimination arena. I'm not afraid of it. What is there to fear by being pushed to address a task that's been placed in front of you and to overcome that task, to be a winner and a champion at whatever it is you do? So, on the high note, I've received so many personal messages. Shout out to every single one of you that have reached out to me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Thank you for being patient with me as I respond. I try to give at least a verbal response or a written response to every single person who has taken the time out to tell me, your personal journey, your personal struggles in many regards. I've had men, women, grandmothers reach out and just say, you know what? I don't even watch the challenge, but someone else did, and they said that this touched them. So I went and got an account and watched it, and this was great. One person, inboxed me and was like, I don't even come on this Instagram. Maybe I'm aging this person, She's like, but I had to create this account so I could just come on and say, what you and Leah did as women was just prolific and profound. So that, as an exercise in remembering that what sometimes we think only we go through, there is a shared and kindred journey that others also go through as well. So it gives all of us a voice, one thing that I appreciate about Leah is that her why was right there on her chest. She's like, I am here to ensure that my son's college fund is robust. I'm going to do it anyway. But if I can do it this way and I can get it right back in there, cool. Like, she never faltered. Like, she was never like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, he's not going to have a college fund. No, she came in like, you know what? That I am more than one thing. I'm more than what other people have said I am. This is the way we're going to go about doing it today. And she stood on her strength. So I think people connected with that. Same here. We came in with our why on our chest, and we left with our why on our chest. It didn't change. It didn't falter based on whether we perceivedly won or lost the moment. Episode 2, it's been tough to watch, but there are also moments that, are undeniably, I think, essential when you're talking about unraveling this aspect of strategy, gameplay, and one of the reasons why I also said yes to this challenge, having fun. So let's get into it. The episode, it opens with me and Nehemiah walking back into the house. The first song that you hear as we walk into the house is Nas, and he's getting it. That particular song, if you Google it, take a chance to really listen to the rest of it, I would say Google the lyrics and read the lyrics if you've never done that. Nas, as the song name of the song is called Got Yourself a Gun, and it is a metaphor for securing your sense of place, securing your home. There's this line in that song where Nas says, I do it for the hood, the corner store. When Nehemiah and I walked in that house, our why was on our chest. And in that one moment, we basically solidified that this is why we're here. And we met the task. We stepped up to the plate and delivered. Nehemiah was very clear. He's here for his kids that haven't been born yet and his grandkids that haven't been born yet. He is looking to expand financially, his village and the people that are around him, and ensure that they have a solid sense of place. No arguments there. Same here. I have 4 kids. So, being able to walk out of that arena as a champion with a win, with a life shield, that was right on our chest. That was what other people said that we're floating. Hey, if that's what floating looks like, how they say, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, Muhammad Ali. So we walk in, there's that moment. There's another, I'm a music person, so Denise Williams, Let's Hear It for the Boy, it plays right at the top of the episode too. It gets back to, why the All-Stars are even coming back. Let's have a little fun. And I love how Tina brings that to the challenge no matter what. She always brings some element of spiciness along with a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sweet and sour chicken to the whole thing, and as you'll see in the episode, there's this fun moment that Tina and Ryan have. If you haven't seen the episode yet, I don't want to spoil it for you. But I think that it really reveals a side to her that isn't often seen. This very joyful, playful person that, has the biggest, brightest smile I've seen when she shows it. Ryan, him being such a good sport about it. And again, finding the hilarity in that, Ryan too has a smile that can just melt, 1,000 ice cubes. And he was able to give that in the episode. So I wanted to give them their shine there. So that happens. So, me, I've been talking for a little bit already. You want to jump to any other part of that episode before we get into what do they call it, Braidgate?
Yeah, Braid. No, I just wanted to follow up on a few questions about because you mentioned about you and Nehemiah were coming back from the elimination. I think we should cut the rumor mill right here. Everybody was curious. Was the weight the same on your guys' elimination from the prior episode? Like, did the females have the same? Was it 300?
Yeah, it's like 300 pounds. I didn't pull the guys to know. Um, but let's get back to one of the elements about that I love about the challenge is that it pushes people to remember uh, real world applications for mathematics. If you look at a right triangle, many times you'll find that right triangles are used in basically calculating, force times distance times velocity, all of these, I would say for most people, it's higher order thinking. But if you look at any blue collar worker that has ever had to lift or pull something, they know that if you use leverage or use a certain amount of trajectory, that it will offset the heavy thing that you have to move from point A to point B. If you watch that previous episode, you're going to see some differences. Just look at the triangle, look at the ratio of the chain to the ground to the person who was, putting a little bit of torque on it. So yeah, in terms of the weight itself, it's definitely going to be impacted based on how you attack that how you attack the task. It worked out in my favor. So, that is what it is. But it definitely was very, very heavy. I think we all felt it, whether you were Derek or Leah or Nehemiah and I. Our bodies felt it the next day. Believe you me, I think I may have felt that jump up on Nehemiah in the back of my neck the next day. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And just to kind of piggyback off your second point too about obviously the scene with Ryan and Tina, it's so nice, and I think why people are enjoying this so much is it's really nice to see kind of a different change of pace from it's nice to see like people depending on who you ask on the other show kind of train 7 times a day and like all that fun stuff. But there's another element to the show that I feel is underrated when you have someone like a Ryan who could laugh at themselves and kind of just have that ability to read the room as opposed to just being like the typical meathead that's like such a physical game, whereas Ryan adds that kind of quick-witted social game to that type of show, in my opinion. So that was a nice scene to kind of see unfold.
Yeah, I agree. Character development is the
Yeah.
essence of drama and story. So to be able to see layers and levels to individuals rather than these two-dimensional caricatures, I think that in this world where you can choose to, within a second, you can go from content to content to content to content. I watch my kids sometimes when they're watching, streaming services or anything else. They're on their phones. They got the streaming service going. They might have, something else happening on the side. So when we talk about pulling someone's attention, especially for a show like this, having dimensions and having some versatility with how you tell this story, I think, will keep people interested. It makes it unboring. Like, what's more boring than having just one thing? Give us levels, and I think that that's of value and worth. I'm not the producer or anything like that, but I know that I too, along with the rest of the world, we pay our, $4.99, $10.99, $11.99 for different content, different content platforms. So, you go with the ones that, keep you there. And I think that diversity keeps people, at the very least of things, feeling like their time has been valued.
Right. So now I think we could transition now into what had everybody talking, of course. We get into what everybody would like to call the braid gate. So, I mean, you could kind of walk me through from your perspective what you feel unfolded here. I mean, we saw in the episode, of course, kind of, I think it was like kind of dark in the room or whatever, and you see you guys. I don't even think it was like the camera in the top of the room. I don't even think it was like the regular camera that caught it. But you can kind of walk me through from your perspective what you feel transpired there.
Well, and we've spoken on this, prior to, I'm not a perfect person, but when I give my word that, I signed a contract, all of us as cast members sign contracts that, you know, when it comes to, the show itself and, what you guys as the audience sees, the TV magic that comes with it, again, when we walked in the house, there were birds and parrots, or whatever animals were tweaking. That's what the sound was. It wasn't, Niles wasn't in the closet, with a microphone, making it happen. Um, you know, in terms of this project that's been put out there are a lot of people that do a lot of work to tell a story. And, so I want to be fair to those people that have, put the work in to tell a very specific story. So it's difficult for me to talk about this without revealing the things that didn't happen on camera. Other cast members have done that. I want to keep my word. I sounded out of line saying that this was what I wasn't going to do. So I like to keep my word in that way. But what I can say, I was asked to braid, this particular cast member's hair. I was asked several times to braid specifically this cast member's hair. I said yes every time, and I gave time, created time and our downtime, our relaxation time, as a cast to provide space to do that. At no time did this particular cast member disclose that, a potential 30-year trauma was associated with the act that the cast member asked me to perform repeatedly. Being someone that has experienced childhood trauma as a parent, as a free person who I consider to be a free being on this planet, I would never use a childhood trauma in a way that would harm another person. Like I said, I don't like carrying dry bones. I don't like picking nobody's skeletons out their closet, dragging them with it. Because when you carry somebody else's dry bones, they're heavy. And I pack light. If you watch the episode, I always like to tell people, give the attention to the editors, the network, the people who make a whole lot more than what I make, that took the time to sift through all of that and to tell you a story. We tend in this day and age to kind of see content once and then we move on to the next thing because it's so immediate. But for those of us that have grown up like in the 80s, we had to wait. It was analog, you had to wait for the film to get developed and you had to wait for somebody to piece it together and the orchestra to come to play just the right song to elicit a certain feeling. But in these ages of immediacy, I think many times we miss the subtle clues and the subtle hints that can, give you more information than what you may have caught the very first time or the single time that you saw it. That being said, I encourage the viewers of this podcast to go back, if you're curious, and watch, slow it down a little bit and watch. Really itemize the words that you hear that are said. Itemize what you see as the image presented in front of you, and come to your conclusion. Did this cast member come to me with a picture of what she wanted? Did this cast member come to me with the no's, the yeses and no's of, what were no-goes? You didn't see that on the screen and I didn't experience that. I experienced what I experienced as a person who was put in a position where I had to, in that moment, in a very raw moment, make my best attempt to triage what was being presented in front of me. As you'll see if you watch the episode, I didn't want to see anyone in the middle of a big old moment crying, snotting, not looking like their best self. Because remember, as I told you at the beginning of at the podcast, when we walked in a secure sense of place. I mean, me and Nehemiah walked in. We walked in with, laser eye focus. We're trying to get the bag. We're trying to be the GOAT, for ourselves. So I'm sorry, I not once ever saw a Muhammad Ali, a Terry Bradshaw, a Tom Brady, a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Serena or a Venus Williams snotting and crying like that. So I'm gonna tell it as it comes. I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna say, look, all the snotting, all the crying in the world, we are here for a certain reason. All those people that you're speaking on that, possibly, she spoke on, this particular cast member spoke on some people that, she alleges performed an injustice to her. What better way to defeat that than to be a winner, than to, remember your why, remember why you're here. Janae said something during this episode, which I also agree with. We're very two different people and we process things in different ways. That's still, right, wrong, or indifferent. That is a story. That is what it is. What is reality TV? We're going to lay it out there. We're going to lay out the tomatoes. We're going to lay out the lettuce. We're going to lay out the dressing. And that's what's going to make this salad, and that is what it is. Jump to the day of the challenge. Because again, I like to keep my word when I put my name on a dotted line. So, there are other things that occurred, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't have to, because I'm a GOAT. So anyway, we get to the day of the challenge. And it's the pyramids. And we got these huge puzzle pieces. And, TJ informs us that we have to break into teams. Immediately, just as you guys see in the episode, the teams divide in a certain way that, kind of gives you insight into how the game is being played. It's very, very interesting. Again, if you don't want spoilers, you might want to pause this now. Take a moment to go ahead, log in Paramount Plus, check out the episode and come on back to us. We're going to be here. All right. Now here come the spoilers. Ryan steps up and he's like, I'm going to be a captain. He's like, I don't want to make anybody mad. I don't want to choose any numbers. I just want everybody to be cool. Steve also during the challenge has that similar way of going about communicating his own strategy. He's like, I just don't want to make any waves. I want to be cool with everybody. And, again, look, for those people that are into numbers and itemizing, how many times the person's name is in an episode and all of that, you got the fire personalities like a Tina, and then you got the folks that kind of want to, float through the middle. And that's something that can be debated and be talked about. Tag me if you do. I want to read it and learn more too. Because I'm kind of getting into this. So anyway, Ryan and Steve both, communicate in their own ways that they ain't trying to make any waves. But Ryan does step up and he's like, look, I'll be a captain, right? So then it comes time for the girls. And again, go back. Watch the episode. Watch how this unfolds. No girl volunteers to be a captain, but it is presented, that there's going to be numbers drawn. And someone's going to put some numbers behind their back. Go back and watch. And then they're going to pull their hand out and say, this is the number I had. It's debatable what number was behind the back, but as you watch the TV, the little, bring-a-ling-a-ling, TV magic, I choose 4. The number behind the back is 4. I'm the captain. Again, I don't want to reveal any spoilers for later on in the season, but, for those that are into the show, I want you to remember this moment about what happens when you have a life shield. Put a pin on that. So, I'm the captain. We are faced with a task, and as I'm watching previous challenges, now I didn't have that information then. I'm thinking, okay, captain. Captain means, you bring everybody together, you keep everybody focused, you try to communicate a vision, and then you're going to execute it. But the first thing that starts happening is that all these alphas, everybody starts, talking. And I'll be honest with you, most of them give them pretty damn good ideas. All right. But everybody's talking, so it's hard for anyone to hear each other because everybody's talking. So, mama mistake number one. I'm a mama four. So that sensibility comes out in me. And, MJ reads it as a power trip. But, for those of you all watching that may have siblings or grew up in environments where, there were multiple kids around, what's the first thing that happens when the kids start talking over each other, arguing? The mom, the dad, the grandma, the uncle, whoever the adult in the room that's trying to listen to the radio or do whatever else they were trying to do, the first thing they do is say, "Stop all the bickering." And I mean, I did that because you got all these grown children, that are talking over each other and bickering. So I definitely, they're right about that. I was like, I can't hear myself think, y'all are bickering. So I made, semi rookie mistake number one with that. But as we continue to go on into the show, Tina steps up. She's like, "Hey, look, I'm a loudmouth. Some of y'all gonna be mad. Some of y'all not gonna be mad. But if we win, we'll be amazing." And that's absolutely right. Nobody complains about you when you win. When you win, they're glad to be safe, right? So Tina, Darrell, they're working together like, they're solidified. They're for all intents and purposes. Darrell has what's called not say integrity, but not that he doesn't, but the word that I'm looking for is credibility. So Darrell, because he's been on all these challenges, he's credible. We're gonna listen to him because he's gotten the bag multiple times. Tina's the captain, so either going to listen to her or she's going to scream loud enough so that you can't do anything but hear her. And so that plays into how their team tackles the moment. Some highlights that I just want to really put out there to give props where props are due. Kahada is like, I don't even want to say the little engine that could, because that wouldn't be giving justice to the type of player he is. If I were ever stuck on an iceberg somewhere and I had to, pick 8 people to be on that iceberg with, Kahada would be one of them, because he's going to make sure that we eat. He's going to make sure that the iceberg moves the way it needs to move. And he's not going to complain about it. He's going to have a plan. Kahada also has this awesome ability to, fall back when, it's time to fall back. And that comes out in this episode as well. Again, no disrespect to anyone. He won't disrespect you, but you will see through his actions that he doesn't play a fearless game, but he plays a game where he really produces and puts his product where his mouth is. And he does that in this challenge. Again, if you haven't seen the episode yet, you want to go ahead and pause now, go over to Paramount Plus, log in, watch it. But Kahada, every scene that he's in, he's putting in work. That's all I got to say on that. Jody comes out in this episode as well and shows us all exactly who she is as terms of a performer in the game. She grabs these puzzle pieces and has the foresight to say, you know what, if I, in my turn, push all the puzzle pieces towards the edge, this is going to make it easier for everyone else. That really put us up as a team. That put us ahead of the other team, which at that particular time was struggling. So I think that, those two cast members in particular, they just really shined in that competition. Not that anyone else didn't, but their shine truly was I think, it was notable as it was, it's just notable. It's just what, sticks to me in my head. We get through the task, and first off, it was hot. I also think one person that was really busting her ass, and you kind of can see snippets of it, but I want to highlight that as well, was Kendall. Kendall was really pushing herself to a space and showing me. That was one of the first times in competition that I'd seen her do it, but just really pushing herself to be again a producer and demonstrate to everybody like this is why they chose me. This is why I'm here. Latarian as well. I think he stands out to me in my memory as somebody that was really, he's again showing everyone why he deserved to be there through his actions. Oh, I'm almost forgetting. Hold on, and I shouldn't. I really, really shouldn't. But definitely, the king, Tecumseh. You'll notice if you watch that episode that Tecumseh for our team, he goes multiple times. Whereas Tina and Darrell's strategy is to have the guys with the most brawn, the women with the most brawn, bring the pieces and have the strategists put the puzzle piece together, which was brilliant, by the way. On our team, two people actually wound up going back multiple times, just because that's just who they are. Don't sleep on Tech. He may be, in terms of his stature, he may not present how you guys are used to seeing somebody present. That is, a fighter and is scrappy, but he definitely shows up during this challenge, and you see it. Look close, watch the clips, and you'll see that truth come out. Again, we try our best. It doesn't pan out for us. It pans out for Tina and Darrell's team, who again, clap it up. That was a hard challenge. And due to the weight of the puzzle pieces, the location of the puzzle pieces in the cenote, trying to gauge your own level of endurance to parse your way through that. Again, their team, clap it up. They earned it. They earned their GOAT status. They earned their win. And that's something that none of them can ever. That's going to be a memory they have forever. Like we in that day moment in time, we won. We did that, and that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have it, and they deserved it. Like full stop. There was no. Does this puzzle piece heavier than the other? None of that. Like they won that fair and square, and we all worked hard. It was tough. We were close. I think if fate had leaned a little bit farther in our favor, we easily could have been the winners. However, again, it was their day. They won. We get to selection, that we're finding out that we have to do right then, right there, because losing team, the captains go straight into elimination. I have the life shield. We are now where we once were at the very beginning of this mission. It's thrown out there, oh, let's do numbers again. At this time, in my mind, I'm starting to see a little bit of the writing on the wall. Okay, if you have one person put their hand behind their back in a fist and say, all of y'all choose a number, to me, for that person's game or whoever they're aligned with, it gives them the opportunity to pick and choose and target whoever they want to target. You already took away my life shield, right? I'm going to put a pin on that. My life shield already been taken because I have to use it for myself in order to stay in the game because my team lost, and I'm also the captain. So Kendall's not going home. Full stop. And she didn't. If you look at the women on our team and you look and you analyze from what you know about me or anyone else, there are some riders there. There's some folks who, by that point, hadn't shown me anything that would definitively think that your mindset isn't on getting this back. Your mindset is fallible. Your mindset isn't focused, laser on being a GOAT. I knew with Jody that whether we were friend or foe, that she was going to be so competitive in terms of like wanting to be and continuing to be a champion. That if either A, I was partnered with her, we'd be champions. B, if she was my adversary, she would push me to a space to dig so deep to be a champion. C, come on now, Cody. So I'm like, all right, nah. I don't want whoever got their hand behind their back deciding what their number is going to be. I don't want that person choosing, the person that's going to give me my carrot stick. So no, she can't go home yet. you know. And then you got Kendall. Kendall wasn't going home because, she just wasn't going home. She'd already solidified some things for me that let me know that she too was a go. That she too is somebody that I could trust and depend upon to go get the bag. If that's, what they had for us. That only leaves a few more options. So I'm going to leave that there because there are other developments that happen later on in the season that I think will reveal, if they choose how they choose to tell this story. I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to encroach on that. I don't want to encroach on that director's license to tell a story. So I'll leave it there. I think I think up to that point, you guys have already seen enough information to justify those two positions. So for me, it was clear, they say, was it personal? What isn't personal about going after $500,000? What isn't personal about explicitly feeling like, you are standing by people that you trust enough that they would be so mentally stable that they wouldn't throw you under the bus under a mental breakdown? Again, there are spaces and places to address other things, but we're on the Mayan Riviera. I got 4 kids at home. At that place, space, and time, that wasn't my work. Sometimes who you consider to be your friends can, we've all been in situations where your friends get you jammed up because they got their own stuff they dealing with, and they'll jam you up in a minute. So for me, it was clear, to say, either this person is going to take one more opportunity to get her head back in the game and to see the big picture, or there's going to be something else that happens. But after I said, you going into elimination and it's a gift, that's when the ball was now in her court. The only people in that elimination ring ever are those who are either selected or compelled to be there. The choices that are made once you are through those doors are your own. Don't forget that. Don't forget that, viewers. And that's everything in life. Folks are like, this person did this to me. This person did that to me. All right. Now you are where you are. What do you do with it? A girlfriend of mine shook me up last year after a traumatic event had happened to me. And she said, all right, it's January. What's next? That's over, but now you are at a new day, a new place. What's next? Do you dwell in the space of yesterday, or do you own your autonomy to choose, select, go after your fate with all abandon and own whatever the outcome is? Do you do that? I live by standards like that. If somebody tries to sabotage you, pull the rug out from underneath you, whatever, you still have choice how you respond to it, how you, make the choice to have your dash be robust. In death, many times people say you have a start date and you got an end date, and life occurs on the dash in between. I can't control what anyone does with their dash. I know what I want to do with mine. And so she had a chance. She had a chance to, show everybody, because, you in the house snotting and crying and not demonstrating your best self. And of course, there are going to be those of you who come up to you and they're going to hug you and tell you whatever they think you need to hear in their strategy and their game. Remember, some folks want to play it safe. Some folks don't want to rock the boat. And that's their strategy. So, of course, somebody's going to hug you and kiss you and keep it easy. If it means, you might help them get to their $500,000. But you go into the elimination arena and you come out a champion, anyone will respect that. They respect it. They may not like it, but they'll respect it. They'll say, okay, if it boils down to it, we down to the final 8, the final 10, whatever else, the final 4, the final 2, however it winds up panning out, they'll be able to look at you and remember watching you be a champion. I'll say one more thing about that, and I'll leave it alone. When you're on an athletic team, your coach has an opportunity to, either throw you in or let you ride the bench or let you bring the water. Sometimes if you get thrown in, it's political because, people may have, a certain leverage with the coach and, okay, this old bozo is going to go in because this bozo, went to somebody's wedding or somebody's ex sneaky link or whatever else, right? So they might get to play. But undeniably, the person that puts in the work, not only do they get to play, but more times than not, they become the GOAT. Michael Jordan. And I'm going to try to make it short, but, Michael Jordan, undeniably, if you go through interviews, people talking about him and his walk and and how he came to be Jordan. How is it in 2021? Folks is walking Jordans, and this dude ain't even playing basketball. He at home smoking a cigar, maybe. Jordan, who is undoubtedly considered a GOAT, and then the youngins are like, oh well, LeBron is the new Jordan, everything like that, maybe. But if you think about where Jordan comes from, like his backstory, the 1-bedroom apartment, and the mom and the hours of practice and focused, just being mission driven and vision driven. These are the moments when nobody's watching that made him the GOAT. It's not about when the cameras are shining and he's up in the sky with the tongue out. It's about every minute and every day of making the choices to have his dash have meaning. LeBron James is an excellent basketball player. But Michael Jordan never had to wear a shirt saying I'm the GOAT. He just was. Tom Brady, great quarterback, great QB. And, and I got to give credit where credit is due. One of my coaches told me this story like 2 days ago, but it's resonating with me because, I'm a little older. So, Terry Bradshaw is somebody who I'm like, okay, I hear that name. That rings a bell for me. Tom Brady is, there's this, your sense of knowing about, sports, depending upon how old you are sometimes, some names are going to ring a bell easier than others in terms of the timeline. But Terry Bradshaw has been known to tell people, it's like these young newscasters talking about how Tom Brady's the greatest of all time and he's an excellent ball player, but he doesn't know jack about the 4-ring club. Terry Bradshaw is a quarterback. He got 4 rings. This is GOAT mentality, right? Like who, do we all have the athletic prowess to be a Tom Brady or a Terry Bradshaw or even a Jerry Rice? Do we have that kind of prowess? I got a coach. My coach's name is Arlo Henderson, and the other coach is Roddy Ferguson. I also have people that I have in my life that I look to as coaches, and they give you these gems and they give you these tools. Whoever your coach is in your life, your wife, your husband, your teachers, your mentors, these are the mantras that you say to yourself, not the she said this and he said that. That will never get you to be the greatest. You got to replace that. You got to shift the polarity of, the battery. Like you ever try to put a battery in like a flashlight backwards? That don't come on. You got to flip it so that the polarity is where it needs to be. The negative got to be where the negative is supposed to be, and the positive got to be where the positive is supposed to be. Champion mentality. So that being said, this cast member who goes into the elimination because, I gave her that gift. she goes into the elimination with whatever she brought to the table, you know, and the results are what they are. The other person who is selected by the elimination, the tribunal, you know, she also goes in with her own sets of philosophies, mantras, and inner grit that's going to drive her. It's a good show. If you haven't seen it yet, you should go watch it. Because, yeah, there's so many lessons. There's so many lessons, and in turn, and to not to so much spend the rest of this time talking about that, we also got to give props up to Kahuna and Ryan. Because again, you got two fighters that have proven in their own ways that they have this versatility. Ryan has this versatility in how he politics and how he presents himself to the house, right? And he's favored. He's a favorable person. Huda walks softly and then carries a big stick, and he shows everybody his big stick, in this particular exercise of elimination. And so again, if you haven't seen it yet, go take a look. It's very interesting. Even the task at hand is presented to all four of the cast members, as this is what you'll be forced to do. There's so many metaphors in it. Like I said, hit me up, Yana Superhero on Twitter, on IG, and you may see some things that I don't see, in terms of just the metaphors around some of the eliminations, because they are, to me, is profound, prolific, and very well thought out, outside of, what might be on the surface. So all of that happens. We have the outcomes that come as a result of the efforts that are put forth. At the very end of the episode, you also have the words that are shared by the competitors. Again, getting back to the point of, I think for me, what this episode was an affirmation. Many times in life, when you're faced with a struggle, it's very easy to get distracted and forget that you always have a choice. How are you going to impact and affect what your outcome is? How are you going to make a conscious choice to stand by what your values are, what your morals are? And if you stray for whatever those reasons happen to be, how do you get back? Nobody's perfect. So how do you bring it full circle? How do you get back? So, to kind of put a pin in on this episode, it's easy to watch it one time and be like, okay, this person is the victor and this person is, the loser. This person is the adversary and this person is the victim. But I charge you, or I challenge you, all y'all challenger fandoms and folks who are into this, I challenge you to go back and look at that episode with another lens, and then maybe another lens. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. As it relates to, and again, I'm gonna get to the tea about episode 3, because I know that's what some of y'all logged in for. I want to respect your time, if that's what you came here for. As it relates to the Entertainment Weekly article and subsequent articles that one particular cast member and other cast members have, expressed as it relates to, alleged incidents that weren't, shown on the television screen. The analysis of those incidents that, for all intents and purposes legally could be debated as, slanderous, reliable to that extent. That's not my area of expertise. I tend to lean on folks that have more of a training in those areas to analyze these things. I offer this. I know who I am. My village knows who I am. I don't have to do that. I don't have to dig up anybody's alleged skeletons. I don't have to fabricate skeletons. I don't deal with dry bones. I'm trying to live. And I want my dash to mean something for the people that I love and the people who love me. And those who literally take the time out to watch me jump through, over, under, pull on it, whatever it is, you spent a moment of your time to 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 get free with us. So out of respect for that, I push myself to not be intellectually lazy. I feel like, throwing the skeletons out there, whether they exist or are perceived or used to uh, create clout and relevance. That's what some people need to do. That ain't what Ayanna needs to do. Ayanna can tell her own story. Um, you know, and if y'all got questions on that, put them down here in the comments. It's YouTube. I try my best to, answer what I can answer, to the extent that, it's respectful, generally respectful. I've got a pretty wide range when it comes to the levels of respect. I don't have a thin skin. But I don't need to do that. Some people do. And that's their journey. My journey is to make my dash count. You're not gonna find me bad mouthing any cast members after the fact on, public media in attempts to, defame, to slander, to ensure that they can't feed their families because of the reputation being, run through. That's not my bag. That's not what I signed up for. And coming back to the All Stars, it was told to me that, All Stars is supposed to, be a little ray of sunshine in the middle of all of this, craziness that we're all living through. It's supposed to be a little ray of sunshine. We're going to sprinkle some drama in there. We're going to bring that up. But for the most part, and again, a lot of people are knocking the other challenge for whatever their reasons are. But I'll say this, and I've said this as well about, other cast members that have had reflections on their time in the house and have chosen to reveal things that, weren't apparent on how the directors chose to tell the story. I say this, there's room. There's enough room in this multiverse, if you will, to get back to these, superhero references, or Octavia Butler talks about a metaverse and all these things, and many others do as well in their own unique ways of being and knowing. I think there's enough room for all of it. There's enough room to say, hey, we can have this other challenge that appeals to people that like these things, and not downgrade or disrespect them for that. That's what you like. So we're going to find ways to also maybe sprinkle in some other pieces that you may not know you like too, like going to a good restaurant. There's an Ethiopian one here in DC, and I went the other day, and I always get the same thing. I get the either the veggie combo, or I get this other thing that I like to get, and I was like, I want what I want. And the owner, he tells me, he's like, we don't have any more of that, but I want you to try this. I wouldn't have had that new experience had the owner not said, we're going to try this new thing. I love the new thing. The new thing is now my new thing, because the owner had the vision and the creative, I would say creative courage to put the new thing out there. This All Stars is a new thing. We live in this age where youth is kind of propped up as everybody wants to be young, everybody want to stay young, everybody want to look young. Even I got my stuff, cake back too, I'm not just on here with no filter completely, but there is room to say there's a whole lot of us that felt real good seeing, 40-year-olds getting honored on TV. Like, many times everybody want to be 25. We'll put it this way. They might want to be 25 in their look. They don't want to be 25 in their pocket. You can keep that, I'm staying where I'm at. Let's let the new things be the new things, and the other things also be what they are, and evolve together. Again, if you open the closets of a bunch of the cast members, you're going to find all kinds of sports equipment and skeletons and all kinds of stuff that'll fall out and make your space messy. But you gotta ask yourself, do you really want to spend your dash cleaning up somebody else's. Like I think one of the other people that talk about some of the other podcasters use this phrase a lot. They're renting space in your head. Do you want somebody else's? Ooh, this person is a sneaky link to that other person. You want that person written? You want their stuff written space in your head? Nah, you don't want that. Let's work on the dash. Let's work on being the goats of being who we are. A fan reached out to me. She was like, I got this free subscription because it came with my phone. And I just want to let you know, I had $1 left, and I wasn't going to hit click because I only had $1 in the bank. My check ain't coming in till whatever. She told her whole piece, and I related to it. I was like, I don't want to look. What's your cash at? Like I was almost like that. Almost. Don't be asking. Don't be sending me your cash apps now. Don't do that. 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 Because I'm not gonna cash app you. I'm not. I'm just not. But the way she told her story was compelling and touched my heart. She was like, I had $1, I got this account, and then I got this free thing because of that. She's like, but I was struggling. And I watched what you and Leah did, and it gave me what I needed, like that day, to do what I needed to do. I like being a part of that. That's what I'm here for. That's my why. If this is my one and done, y'all, I can honestly say that, whereas I'm not a perfect person now, what superhero is, and good one anyway. You can watch a lot of them on Paramount Plus. I'm finding out, like I'm telling you, like I was like, wait a minute, y'all doing this, y'all doing that, and I like superhero, series and whatnot. So I was like, y'all got a lot that I didn't know about. That's what I'm here for, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's the tea about episode 3. Get at me with how you do your dash, how you extend your great self. I don't care if you out here, doing something that other people don't see as extending your dash. That's their bag. That's their walk. Let them carry them dry bones. You be great. And that's what I got for you today, Mike Lewis. I think the lesson of episode 3, the takeaway, be great. Be great. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I think your approach was good today. I enjoyed speaking with you. I think we cracked out just about everything when it comes to this past episode. I'm excited to see how the rest unfolds. And thank you for your time today. It's good seeing you again.
And like I said, thank you again. I don't know anybody at Entertainment Weekly or all these other magazines. So, you providing this space for those of us that may not have the connections in that world or know the dynamics and the layers of that reality TV set. Night, I appreciate it forever for that. You got a writer right here. So thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.